I'm Christy Clark, and these are the 5 underreported stories that you need to know. Hey everyone, welcome back to Underreported Stories, where I cover the news that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News fail to report or don't report on enough. This is a show based in logic, facts, truth, and today we're going to watch the cringiest fundraiser for Kamala Harris. I also found this hilarious story that kind of goes off of it about Kamala Bus's school bus record. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'll explain. And there are 2 biological men that were cleared to compete in the women's boxing event in the Olympics. So let's get into all of this. A group of influencers, politicians, and celebrities hosted a Zoom meeting called White Women for Kamala, which gathered over 164,000 women online to discuss best strategies for getting Kamala elected. One of the speakers on the Zoom event went viral for using her teacher voice to talk to adult women about things like mansplaining. So this woman is named Ariel Fodor, and she's a teacher turned TikTok influencer who goes by the name Mrs. Frazzled. Now, I'm going to pull up a video of Mrs. Frazzled talking to adult women. Before we watch the actual video, though, I just want you to look at the names of the women on this call. We have Megan Rapinoe, Glennon Doyle, a congresswoman, a sitting congresswoman, Connie Britton. So some celebs, to say the least, but this is the viral video.
Ariel Fodor, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzled to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in.
Okay, so first, really quick, I don't understand why BIPOC women need to tap anybody in. You're a voter. It is your civic responsibility to vote. Why does somebody of color need to tap you in to do your civic responsibility? That makes no sense to me. Second, I already know, I feel it too. You could just tell from the mousy smile where this was going. No one needs to be gentle parented ever. Nonetheless, somebody over the age of 6. Why are we gentle parenting adults on a Kamala Harris fundraising video? That doesn't make any sense. It's so cringy.
In as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good. No matter who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it.
Really quick, I don't understand why this person who is a TikTok influencer specializing in teaching is communicating how to best get politically involved. Unless she does politics at school, in which case that's wildly inappropriate.
And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first...
Oh my gosh, 100%. I can't think of a more toxic group of women than a bunch of white liberal women that have access to TikTok and Instagram. I mean, they're some of the meanest people on the internet. So spot on with that analysis.
Don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
Ew, I hated that. I hate that specifically because I hate this listening ears on. What the heck is that crap? And secondly, it tells people that because of their skin color, their opinion matters more or less. And that's racist. Fox News, for all the shit I give them, actually had a decent write-up on this subject because they got her full comments and they're right here. It says, oh, this is the listening ears comment that she made. And then it goes down here and it says, do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized and use the privilege you have in order to push for a systemic change. As white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn, so do check your blind spots. You are responsible for your algorithm, believe it or not. So she's saying you are responsible. It is your responsibility for how you deal with what the social media algorithms send you. Intentionally seek out and share content from BIPOC creators, activists, and thought leaders. They should be the leaders of conversation about race, injustice, and equity. Again, I fundamentally disagree with this because we should be talking to people who are not best because of their skin color, but because they are the best at talking about a given topic. That's just pure and simple DEI in action. And this whole statement reads like a DEI seminar, which is probably where she got it from. And then this woman also said that being an ally means being willing to be uncomfortable, speaking of DEI seminars. And she said that no one is more uncomfy than someone talking to their bigoted family members. So she calls her family members who won't vote for Kamala bigoted. But she hosts sessions that are race segregated and designed to tell people that their worth and voice matters more or less based on their skin color. That's bigoted. And that's only made more funny by the fact that a bunch of pearl-clutching left-wingers have all finally figured out what a woman is because they had a meeting for men and a meeting for women. So they clearly know that there's a difference. But jokes aside, it irks me when people say that white people can't comment on black people. That is in its purest form racism. I'm not going to let someone's skin color tell me how I can and cannot act. That would mean that I care more about someone's skin color than their character, which is racist. So not correcting Kamala Harris solely because of her race is racist, yes. Which brings me to my next story, which is correcting Kamala Harris's record. One of Kamala's highest profile responsibilities as vice president was using a $5 billion government program to put electric school buses in schools across the nation. In her 4 years in office, do you know how many electric school buses are out there now? 60. One of Kamala's highest profile responsibilities, like I said, was to spearhead this federal government billion with a B dollar effort to deploy thousands of electric school buses across hundreds of school districts nationwide, but she has done almost nothing with it. It says, as part of the first tranche of clean school bus program funding 2 years ago, Kamala Harris and EPA Administrator Michael Reagan unleashed nearly $1 billion in federal rebates for 389 school districts, hoping to deliver on 2,463 electric school buses, and they got 60, okay? It says just 27 of those districts have proven to the EPA that their buses were delivered and that their diesel-fueled buses being replaced have been discarded. Now, one of the reasons why this is funny is because this is how all climate activism programs go. They attempt to be really dramatic in the manner in which they talk about how they're going to get climate change accomplished or how they're going to get something done. They earmark like $5 billion for a project, and then they don't do anything. And then the biggest problem that they saw here is that it's so expensive. So one of the superintendents of a school district said that they'd received funds for this. They were awarded $395,000, but that money was used to fund one singular electric school bus because it costs 3 times more than a traditional school bus to buy these electric school buses. So this basically means the Free Beacon, the people that wrote this article up, they did the math. This implies the cost to replace the entire U.S. fleet of 547,000 yellow school buses with electric alternatives would be $202 billion on school buses. And I brought this story up not just because it's underreported and it showcases how horrible Kamala's record is on her duties as vice president, but also because Kamala advocates within the Biden administration, people that really stump for Kamala no matter what, they're always bitching either behind closed doors or to parts of the media that Biden screwed Kamala over by giving her the position of border czar when she's not actually passionate about that issue. These same Kamala advocates say that Biden should have put Kamala out there to talk about abortion rights and things she's passionate about. Well, Kamala loves school buses, okay? She talks about her passion for school buses all the damn time. Her line about school buses on the 2020 debate stage was one of the only moments that set her apart as someone even remotely interesting when she was polling in the single digits. Newsflash, she's passionate about school buses and she still failed. So maybe it has nothing to do with giving Kamala projects that she likes and everything to do with Kamala as a person. Also, if you're the president of the United States, you don't get to pick the parts of the job you like. You're supposed to deal with everything. And deal with everything, well, that's what we do here at Underreported Stories. And if you like what you're watching or listening to, would you please be sure to give this video a like, be sure to be subscribed on Rumble, YouTube, and if you're in the listening audience, be sure to give the show a 5-star review. It helps out a lot. Okay, moving on to our next story. Facebook and Instagram were censoring the now iconic photo of Trump standing up after he was shot in the ear. The social media company claimed that fact checkers dubbed the photo altered and therefore people weren't able to post it. So Facebook has acknowledged it mistakenly censored the iconic image of Trump. A post on Mark Zuckerberg's social media site by a user with the handle, well, we all know, I know at least, and wokeness. It's a great follow on X if you're not following him. It showed the Republican presidential candidate defiantly pumping his fist into the air. We all know what the picture looked like. But the user was threatened with being deplatformed. However, a spokesperson for Meta admitted that this was a mistake. So down here you'll see USA Today fact-checked the famous Trump photo and it triggered a, quote, altered photo warning on Instagram. This must be an innocent algorithm mistake, right? That's what he originally said. And then you can see that AFP and fact-check/USA Today said the photo that was altered and you weren't really allowed to post it on Instagram or Facebook. And then Charlie Kirk goes on to say, update, this has been resolved, a false positive. Danny Lever, who works for Meta, said, yes, this was an error. The fact check was initially applied to a doctored photo showing the Secret Service agent smiling. And in some cases, our systems incorrectly apply the fact check to the real photo. This has been fixed and we apologize for the mistake. And we talked about this on yesterday's show, about how it's not just the one instance. There's Google omitting Trump from the keyword feature when you type in assassination attempt. And GovTrack removing information about how liberal Kamala is. And now Meta censoring a picture that made Donald Trump more popular. In all honesty, and I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but I do believe the guardrails initially put in place by big tech are put there with the right intention. The intention of no one wants social media writ large to be considered complicit in election interference. The problem is that the way they act out, not allowing social media to interfere in an election, is by allowing the political preferences of so-called fact checkers and Meta's own biased employees, they allow those people to interfere in the election instead. And then those same people are so biased, they can't see the bias problems they're causing. They're idiots. But I don't know if this is necessarily malicious to want to put guardrails in place for social media companies so they don't interfere in the election. I don't think that's malicious. The way that they go about it, though, completely malicious. This, I have no doubt in my mind that there was something malicious going on here. They're idiots, all of them. And speaking of idiots, the Olympics allows biological men to compete in the women's division now. Imam Khalif of Algeria and Lin Yuting of Taiwan are transgender boxers who have been cleared to fight in the Paris Olympics. Both of these individuals were banned from the Boxing World Championships for their biological sex. They are now magically deemed eligible to compete in women's Olympic boxing. Bear with me, for censorship reasons, I have to be very careful what I say as I read this article. There is footage of a boxer who has been allowed to compete in the Olympics landing brutal shots of an opponent in the women's boxing arena that is going viral on social media. So, like I said, there were two boxers who were initially banned from the Boxing World Championships because they have the XY chromosome. Oh, my hair's stuck to my microphone. Anyway, it says a row has erupted in Paris after it emerged that Imam Khalif and Lin Yutang of Taiwan were thrown out of the tournament last year amid questions over their biological sex. And then this video, which I'm not really going to show, this is, I believe, Imam Khalif, and this is Brianna Tamara. This is a fight that happened back in December of 2022. Some social media accounts have been circulating saying that that's the current Olympics. It's not, but there were sex tests that were done confirming that this individual here has XY chromosomes and is allowed to compete in now the Olympics. Like it says in the article, it says a video showed Khalif landing heavy shots to the head of Mexican opponent Brianna Tamara back in 22. And Brianna actually had things to say. She wrote on X right here. When I fought with, this is Imam Khalif, I felt very out of my depth, she wrote on X. Imam's blows hurt me a lot. I don't think I had ever felt like that in my 13 years as a boxer, nor in my sparring with men. Thank God that day I got out of the ring safely, and it's good that, I'm assuming they were saying, or she was referring to the Women's World Boxing Championship, finally realized that this person shouldn't be allowed to compete against people with XX chromosomes. And again, I do have to be very careful of what I say, but when I was looking for a good write-up of this story, it was almost impossible to find. And when I Googled information on this, the first story that pops up is Fox News, and I just want to pull up their version of the story for you so I can show you how bad it is. This is the Fox News write-up. It literally gives you no information. This is why I give them shit in my intros, because this gave me nothing. 2 boxers competing in the women's division have complied with all the gender requirements. Okay, so why were they not allowed? Like, I'm not getting information. Questions were raised about these 2 people's eligibility after the fighters were disqualified at the 2023 World Championship. However, these people competed in the Tokyo Olympics. And then it gives like a statement from the IOC, and it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't use the word crayons or trans. It does nothing. It doesn't give you any information at all. And again, this is why I give them shit in my intros every day, because this pandering to feelings to the point where you aren't even writing a useful article is freaking pointless. But this next story is actually high quality journalism for a change. Secret DEA files show that drug enforcement officers had WhatsApp messages where they would talk about money laundering, assaulting women, and selling drugs. Turns out that one of the men in the WhatsApp message was charged with money laundering for the cartels he was supposed to be policing, and another allegedly assaulted a 23-year-old woman abroad. So again, this is the whole write-up from the Associated Press. This is an editor's note. This is a note for me as well. You know, it's a little graphic, but I'm going to kind of skip through it in my language. So if you're in the listening audience, you should be fine. It reads, in a WhatsApp chat that quickly devolved into depravity, a group of U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration agents boasted about their, quote, world debauchery tour of boozing and whoring on the government's dime. They swapped images of their latest conquests, as we'll say, and at one point joked about assault. This article kind of goes through these jaw-dropping exchanges in a group chat. Obviously, we know that group chats are very personal, and they're not intended for the world, and we always say things that might be a little more edgy than we would if we were in person or in our job. But it also was beyond just poor judgment. It was so many other things. We see the 2018 arrest of a man named George Zamberos for allegedly assaulting a 23-year-old woman in a Madrid hotel room. And that was kind of the first thing that set off the alarms. Then when you go through the entire story, you get to know about this scandalous arrest of Jose Irizarry. I want to say that's how you would pronounce his last name. But he is one of the agents in the group chat, considered the ringleader of the debauchery and the most corrupt agent in the DEA's 50-year history. He's been accused of a scheme to skim millions from money laundering seizures to bankroll a junket of partying and sex. No criminal charges, I should say, have been filed against other DEA agents, supervisors, or prosecutors allegedly tied to the corruption. Just this guy, but he is serving a 12-year federal prison sentence for money laundering for the Colombian drug cartel. So our own DEA agents are involved in money laundering. And listen, I'm not quick to trust the Associated Press on nearly anything. I have a feeling that they saw white people or like white adjacent people and they just had to hop on this report. But what they actually did was some pretty solid journalism while also making a case for why entrenched bureaucrats are awful and Trump's idea to drain the swamp of corrupt bureaucrats is actually a great idea. Probably not the intention that the Associated Press has, but that's what I took away from this. Anyways, for my real ones that stuck around until the end, will you drop a boxing glove in the comment? Yeah? As always, like, subscribe, leave a comment about how beautiful, stunning, and funny I am. It's all appreciated. All right, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye, friends.